Laura Terrill is the president and proudly serves as the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of South Texas. Can I get an amen? Thank you. She has spent her career at the intersection of policy and politics to ensure that access to reproductive health care and equitable access to the ballot. Laura moved to Texas just this past summer from Montana, and spent 22 years in Oregon, where she studied political science and public administration. She enjoys kayaking, hiking, and taking landscape and portrait photography of the world's best subjects, her 3 children, and her 2 doggos. Please welcome to the stage, Laura Terrill.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for having me. As Peyton said, I am brand new to San Antonio. I'm so proud to be here. It's an incredible community and full of creative, kind, wonderful people. And you make a mean taco, and I can't get enough of them. So I'm here to talk about what I can't unsee and what inspires me to continue doing the work. I can't unsee the rage that was in my mom's eyes when she shared her personal story with me, where she almost died self-managing her own abortion, pre-Roe. I can't unsee the frustration and the anger in first and second wave feminists when they realize that the work that they've worked so hard for has been undone. I can't unsee the privilege of those that are pursuing these arcane policies that don't know what it's like to be in need of health care. I can't unsee the hypocrisy of those that claim that they want small government and then try to regulate the most intimate decisions about our bodies. I can't unsee the tyranny of the minority as they seek to subjugate women. This slide says it all, y'all. But I do have a North Star. When I lose my way and become frustrated by the oppressors, I remember my children, who I do this work for, and I remember the next generation, because although we may not see the changes that we want to see in our lifetimes, it's important that we continue to keep fighting to make sure that we don't leave the next generation with fewer rights than we ourselves have. And I can't unsee the way that our country's history of racism and discrimination impacts the health disparities of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and folks without resources who face insurmountable access or barriers to health care. I can't unsee or unknow how the opposition started as backlash to midwives, many of whom were Black women, by doctors who wanted to protect their turf. And we'll save conversation about evils of capitalism for another time. But that opposition has led to this current state of affairs. And no subliminal messages here, blue is good, red is bad. Read into it what you want. And I literally cannot unsee those who can't become pregnant seeking to shame and stigmatize those who can. And this is an actual photograph of folks who were testifying in support of an anti-reproductive health care bill in Montana, who were all lecturing about the women's rights movement. And what we want is simple. We want to keep bans off of our bodies. Because we can't be free if we don't have the ability to make decisions about when and if to have a family. And we can't be free if we don't have bodily autonomy. And I want to be really clear, Roe is the floor. Roe v. Wade is the very least that we should be asking for. Because we know that access doesn't mean anything if we can't afford the care. We know that access doesn't mean anything if we lack documentation. We know that access doesn't mean anything if hospitals and insurance companies don't offer it or cover it. So, say it with me, abortion is health care. Access to abortion is the canary in the coal mine. It's the tip of the spear. So while we need to fight and keep getting up despite the opposition. We need to have a little fun along the way. And this is how we do it in Montana. Rain or shine. This is Pillamina. She's delightful, albeit a little bit cold. And we have to keep our people close. These are my pals. They keep me grounded. They're my faves. And I thought about adding a joke, which I guess I actually am now, about the fact that this was their reaction when I told them I wanted to do this work in Texas. But they keep me motivated and they continue to inspire. I've gotten to work with literal giants in the field who continue to innovate and break ground and help hold the line. I quite literally stand on their shoulders. I've had the good fortune of having some incredible mentors, including Cecile. Mentors who always took my calls, who opened doors, who introduced me to incredible people, and took me to epic parties where I got to meet Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, which was incredible, yeah. At the Vice President's house. It was a whole thing. I'll tell you about it sometime. Here in Texas, I have had the ability to create some amazing friendships already and create a fortress, build a fortress of fierce friends who quite literally feed my mind, body, and soul. And without them, I don't know that I would be acclimating quite as well to the heat of both the politics and the sun. And it's important that I, continue to charge my batteries, of course, we all need to. Getting outside, breathing, remembering that there are places larger than oneself. And I'm reminded of a Dr. King quote, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And it's going to take a minute to get back to where we want to be. But go to Glacier. It's delightful. I'll tell you where this is. It's the most epic kayaking you could possibly imagine. And have dogs. Have dogs. I swear we don't deserve them. And when I can't hold, when I just don't think I can go on, having these four-legged pals around is delightful. I'm sure your cats are fine too, but dogs. Dogs. And please think about what you can't unsee when you make a plan to vote. Consider running for office. And please, please work at the best of your ability to reclaim what is rightfully ours and say no thank you, ma'am, to patriarchy. Thank you.
Laura Terrill, ladies and gentlemen, fighting the good fight. To quote Patti Smith, people have the power, right? People have the power. So get your asses out and vote. I did today. Now this is a true story. If you haven't voted yet, keep your mouth shut. If you have voted yet, please yell. Okay, so tell me. You mentioned your mother and her story and what she shared with you, but share with us a little bit about your mother, who she is, and just a little insight into the fabulous woman that you obviously learned something from.
I love this question. Interestingly, I learned more from my dad. He was a better feminist than I am, y'all. He taught law school. I'm going to tell a quick story, and then I'll say something sweet about my mom. She's delightful. She's also 5'8". Rude. So my dad taught law school in Denver, Colorado, and the women in his class were late, and he was finally like, what is going on? Why is it only the women that are late? And he realized that there were 2 men's restrooms near the classroom, but no women's restrooms. And so they were having to go to the other side of the building before they could come to class. So he insisted that the university convert one of those bathrooms into a women's restroom because he knew that those women would be less likely to participate in the class discussion if they were late and didn't have the context for what was happening. Just a small window into the epic character that was my dad. And he married my mom because he had great taste. And she's fierce as hell. She's delightful. And the part that I didn't say is that when my mom came home to heal after spending a week in the hospital where the police came to see her, they knew what she had done, but they didn't have any evidence. Only then did my grandmother share that she too had tried to self-manage an abortion after my grandfather enlisted in the Second World War and almost died. So it was a generational cycle that she put an end to.
And that's what's interesting about it, and in this time that we live in, this strange time that none of us ever thought that we would live in, because we trusted them, right? For some strange reason, we trusted them when they said they wouldn't do this to us, and they did. And so believe them next time, because they'll do it again. They're coming after a lot of other things. But to leave my political hat there, how did you get interested in photography, and what are your dogs' names?
Oh.
I mean, this is important stuff. I mean, abortion, gay rights, dogs, right?
These are all of the important things. As Julie Andrews says, these are a few of my favorite things. So let's see. Dogs and what else? I got lost after that.
How'd you get your dogs' names, and how did you get interested in photography? You said you loved to...
Brilliant. I love to document, and it gives me something to do. Because honestly, I find hiking to be phenomenally boring. But if I'm taking photographs of things that I'm hiking by, it makes it a little bit more interesting. And being out on the water is one of my favorite things, and being able to come back and share some of these great places that I get to go to, not with my dogs because they don't kayak. So Louisa, and I mentioned Julie Andrews, I have a penchant for naming my dogs after Sound of Music characters. And so I've had Birgitta, and now I have Louisa. Who's the Newfoundland, and then we adopted Sam, and he went a little bit off script because we named him after Samwise Gamgee because he was the best pal.
Okay, one last question, and this will solidify whether you stay in San Antonio very long. Wine or margaritas?
Margaritas.
Okay, there we go. We're gonna keep her, ladies and gentlemen. Laura Terrill.